I don't normally like to record these at night because the lighting, but I'm currently staying up waiting for chapter 11 to go online on roosterteeth.com. I still got another couple of hours, so I need to kill time somehow. Hey, what's up guys, I am SheNoob and welcome to my review of RWBY Volume 3, Chapter 10, Battle of Beacon. Okay, so plenty going on in this episode. Everything was set in motion last chapter, and now the crap is really starting to hit the fan. Before I start, you guys probably already saw my reaction to Chapter 10. In case you didn't, I'll link it in the video now. But because I am doing reactions live to the episodes now, in my reviews I'm going to focus less on my emotional reaction to events of the episode and more on what I think about them logically. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about for this chapter, so let's get started. The chapter begins immediately where the last one left off, and straight away When It Falls is playing. In fact, it plays for the majority of the episode. It's kind of like Rooster Teeth saying to us, you know all that dark crap you saw in the opening animation? Yeah, this is that. Weiss and Blake had just kind of stood there, not really sure what to do. Blake calls Yang, and Yang is making her way through the school, and it's obvious that she's worried about RWBY. At first I thought maybe Yang would take off to go and find her, but they didn't end up meeting up this chapter, and they're probably not going to. For now, Team RWBY is well and truly separated. Weiss is obviously a little in shock. She even says Penny's name. Penny. And obviously watching somebody you know get torn to shreds and then the revelation that they're actually a robot is a lot to take in, and it would be very upsetting. Yang informs Blake and Weiss that the White Fang are letting Grimm into the school. Then she runs into trouble and she has to go. And we don't see her again for the rest of the chapter, so hopefully we'll see something of her in chapter 11. But back to Weiss and Blake, why are they just standing there? They are surrounded by Grimm, and the Grimm are murdering people. And they're just standing there. Like, I know they're in shock, but come on girls, get your butts in gear. Then Blake says they should go to the docks and do their job. Go to the docks? In case you hadn't noticed, your job needs doing here! All those people around you getting eaten aren't going to save themselves. It then cuts to the coliseum, there's chaos, everybody's running around, and RWBY is knelt on the floor completely in shock. And she's not the only one. Pyrrha struggles to her feet, the scene of Penny in pieces still before her, and she goes completely catatonic. I really felt for her in this scene. That would have been absolutely horrible. As there's a Nevermore trying to break through the ceiling currently, Jean jumps down and tries to come to Pyrrha's rescue, but it's RWBY who ends up protecting Pyrrha with one of Penny's own swords. It was very poetic. Can't really tell in my reaction, but this scene got to me. I think it was mainly RWBY with tears in her eyes screaming at the Nevermore, leave her alone. Leave her alone! RWBY's already lost one friend today, she's not losing another. Then all the other students' rocket lockers pin the Nevermore to the ground. It was a clever idea, and well timed. And now that all the students had their weapons, they worked together to kill the Nevermore. It was really great to see this because this is really what their job is all about, teamwork. When the camera cut to Pyrrha kneeling, tears in her eyes, I was trying to hide it, but I really teared up at that scene. But of course, RWBY doesn't blame Pyrrha. RWBY, in fact, has already got all of this almost figured out. How could she blame Pyrrha? She knows it's not her fault. Jean's words to Pyrrha then seem horribly foreshadowing to something terrible happening.
We have to make sure they don't take anyone else.
I remember how Monty always used to say he was such a fan of Game of Thrones, as are many of the dev team on RWBY. And usually in Game of Thrones, when somebody says something awesome or there's an uplifting moment, somebody dies immediately after. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here. I'm just saying, be prepared. I know I'm going to be prepared. I'm so not prepared. Then a new type of Grimm is introduced, the Griffin Grimm. I think these might be my favourite Grimm so far, just because I really like griffins. And these were cool looking. I'm always surprised when I see a new type of Grimm introduced, because they always go the complete opposite route to where I think they're going. It's almost like the types of Grimm are very unconventional, and I like it, aside from wolves or bears. But come on, giant birds and giant scorpions, and big-ass Oliphant-like things? and little two-legged mole rats. I still don't remember what they're called. I love how eclectic the collection of Grimm is. Then just as all the students are about to unleash their fury on these griffins, Port and Oobleck step in and tell them they should get going. They'd rather that their students didn't die there. Will this really be Port and Oobleck's last fight? The odds don't really look good for them. Can they really take on that many Griffin Grimm? I guess we'll find out, or maybe we won't. Velvet snaps a cheeky picky of Ruby with her scythe, and again with Velvet's camera. I'm seriously thinking that it has something to do with, or is her weapon. Because when I saw this, I was reminded of what Coco said at the end of Volume 2. Velvet was about to take out a weapon and Coco said, "You've spent all semester building that up, don't waste it here." Did she mean building up her portfolio? Like, literally, is her weapon the camera, and taking photographs builds up its power somehow? I know it sounds ridiculously far-fetched, but this is actually what I'm thinking. In any case, I really hope we get to see it in action before the end of this volume, preferably this next chapter. We see a bunch of people being evacuated, some of which are students wearing various Atlas and Beacon uniforms. Aren't those students also huntsmen and huntresses in training? Why aren't they helping? Like, I know not everyone is as brave as a lion, but come on, it's supposed to be your sworn duty, or will be your sworn duty, to protect people. And they're just tucking tail and darting off. If it was me, I'd be annoyed. Then we finally get to see General Ironwood in action, which was really cool. He took on what's been confirmed as an alpha Beowulf, which was also a really cool looking Grimm. And he definitely has at least a bionic arm. If you weren't aware, General Ironwood is actually loosely based off of the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, so it would make sense for him to have some metal about him. It's always been kind of obvious that there's something bionic about General Ironwood. Just look at that little strip that he's got on his forehead. I've always wondered what that is. Some people seem to think it might be some sort of brain implant. Once he's done kicking the crap out of the Alpha Beowulf, the students all rock up saying, "What do you want us to do?" And he says that either they can defend the kingdom or save themselves. And I'm with Sun on this one.
I mean, come on.
As if they're gonna save themselves. Their lives aren't worth more than the lives of the citizens of Vale, and they know it. And like I said, sworn duty to protect and all that. This is what they've been training for years. Then we're back to Roman Torchwick in the ship that he's hijacked. Like I said in my reaction, I'm really glad that he's back, but at the same time he's a pain in the ass. Stop fiddling with all those buttons. You're gonna break something. Then Neo hands him a scroll, which he promptly plugs into the ship. And they seize control of the Atlasian Knights. I knew they were going to do this. It's been in the back of my mind ever since chapter 3. I don't know what it was about those Atlasian Knights walking down the walkway behind Weiss and Winter Schnee. I just got a bad feeling. Like a Terminator bad feeling. This is bloody Skynet all over again. God, that was an awesome movie. Luckily, there's still awful shots. Everyone's been inquiring as to Ironwood's fate after the Knights shoot his ship down. Personally, I think he's still alive. I don't think someone like him is going down that easily. And plus, I feel like if they're gonna kill a character like that in this show, we're actually gonna see it happen. Moving on. What the hell is Ruby doing? She jumps off of the ship with all the other students on it, runs back into the Coliseum, seizes a rocket locker, shoots up in the air, and lands on the very ship that Roman and Neo are now on. Ruby, what the hell are you doing? What are you thinking? Are you even thinking? There is no way that Ruby takes on Neo and succeeds. There's just no way. Also, speaking of Neo, it's been confirmed that Neo actually does have a voice actress. Officially confirmed back in chapter 1 of this volume when she did that little giggle. But she still hasn't said a word. There's been a lot of theorizing as to why that is. I think it's just she's one of those characters that just never really speaks. Like Fox, we haven't seen him speak yet either. Then we go back down to the grounds of Beacon and Team Checkmate are kicking butt, as usual, but we didn't get to see much of it. I really hope we get a more satisfying fight next chapter. And it looks like we just might, because shortly thereafter, Blake runs into Adam. Now, we already knew Adam was here, but Blake didn't. She seems quite surprised and shocked. I have been waiting for this all volume. I need my Blake versus Adam showdown. And then also potentially Ruby versus Neo and Roman as well. So there might be a couple of really good, decent fights there. Back to the rest of the students who are now on the grounds of Beacon fighting Grimm. And Jean is actually taking on an Ursa all by himself. Not the first time he's done it. but he seems to be holding his own. The camera work in this shot is absolutely amazing. I was watching AfterBuzz TV's after show of chapters 9 and 10, and they talked about that camera shot there. It's actually a series of about 4 different shots that they strung together seamlessly to make it look like a sweeping camera movement. And it's really well done. Emerald really seems genuinely upset by the scene that's happening in front of her. There's been a lot of speculation, and I'm wondering too if this is the start of something for her or not. As you know, Emerald is one of the characters I'll be voicing in RWBY Abridged eventually, and while I do love her just as she is and how deliciously evil she's been, it would be really cool to see her turn good. But I won't get too ahead of myself. Then we go back to Ozpin's office, and he's just kind of stood there sort of figuring out what to do next. He grabs that cane of his, which I've always been convinced is his weapon, and just as he's about to leave, there's a rumble. Then we're back to Glinda and Crow, another rumble. I loved that next shot of Sage and Scarlet clinging to an Ursa in the background. And then we see a mountain cracking and a dragon is unleashed. Glinda says no when she feels that rumble right before the dragon's released.
No.
She must have known about that dragon. Also, a freaking dragon? As if things weren't bad enough for these guys. A dragon? I think I'm safe in saying that that took all of us by surprise. There is not a single soul that watches this show that saw that coming, and if they say they did, they're lying. Completely out of left field. Oh, and as if that wasn't bad enough, it can also spawn more Grim. Bloody hell. Ozpin obviously knew about the dragon too, as he sees it flying for his window and he's not the least bit surprised. My guess is that Glinda and Ozpin and maybe a few select others had something to do with entrapping that dragon in that mountain in the first place. And usually when such badass fighters like Glinda and Ozpin have to trap something instead of killing it, that means that they can't kill it. Great. And then Ozpin makes a beeline straight for Pyrrha. I knew that his next move would be for Pyrrha. It's the logical step, but maybe not the best idea. Pyrrha walks off to go meet Ozpin, knowing now what she has to do. There is no way that she will not do this now. She has too much of a conscience. Vale is in utter peril and she knows she may be the only thing that can save it. As she walks off, Jean runs off after her. I'm really wondering if she's gonna tell him what's going on next chapter, or if she's just gonna give him some dumb cliche, like, I have to do this, or you wouldn't understand. I hope not. And then we see that Cinder is lurking in the background with her weapons drawn, I might add. And this is why this may not be the best idea. It seems that this was Cinder's intent to draw out Amber's successor, so that they would either lead her straight to Amber so that she can kill Amber and take the rest of the power, or so that she could take the successor down and steal the rest of the power. Either way, she wants that power and she's not going to give it up easily. Things are looking really bad for Pyrrha next chapter. In fact, they're looking bad for everyone, but I'm mostly concerned about Pyrrha, and Ruby, and Blake. And where is Yang? Oh, it's all happening. Before I wrap up, I just want to add something really quickly. As I mentioned, I watched AfterBuzz TV's after show, and Grey Haddock reiterated something that Miles and Kerry talked about in a live stream some time ago. They said that we would hate Jean for something that he does this volume, and I don't think we have seen that yet. So what I'm wondering is Jean going to do something really stupid to screw up the transfer of the Full Maiden's power to Pyrrha in a big way? Because what else could he possibly do that we would hate him for? I hope it's not worse than that. I don't see how it could be worse than that. Oh, the foreshadowing. My heart can't handle this. How long until chapter 11? T-minus 1 hour and 13 minutes. I think I need a coffee. Or a Valium. And this was my review of RWBY Volume 3 Chapter 10. I don't know why I decided to say it that quickly. I hope you enjoyed this. As always, don't forget to check out my reaction to Chapter 10 if you haven't seen it yet. I will also link it in the description for mobile users. Don't forget to check out the videos below me now if you want to see more of my stuff. Check out my social media links on my right here, and click that big red subscribe button up there. You won't be disappointed, I promise. And I will see you guys for my Chapter 11 reaction that I will be filming in just over an hour. Oh boy. Bye.